I think my dad stopped ukungishaya when I was 17. Uthemeke ethi lemvubu ngayibamba so. Ngabona imvubu mate?
Yeah.
Ngayibamba. And I looked at him in the eye and I said to him, this is the last time you'll ever touch me. Because ngizokutrapa. He never touched me.
Hi, TT.
He never touched me after that.
TT, hi.
I held it like this.
Sanibonani Thokozani. Angisazi nokuthi ngithi Thokozani noma ngithini because nina ma issues mangithi Thokozani. Sanibonani the Venters, how are you? My name is Gogo Skoteni, the DJ, Gogo Skoteni, the Sangoma, Gogo Skoteni, the entrepreneur. Welcome to the Venting Podcast. 2 December, Ningakotla, we will be in Harrismith. The Venting Podcast will be live there. We will be having Saint Buji on the desk. DJs go all the way from Mbalenhle and of course myself. And also we have a surprise guest for that day, right? Check it, but all the Venters from all different provinces, you're more than welcome to come there. We're going to be live. And tickets, you find them on Google Web Tickets, Pick and Pay store. You go there, you purchase them online as well. Guys, I'm trying in Patele, the one and only. Umuntu opushile simbonile back in the days, Snamanje, he's still relevant. Or Mr. TT Mbha. Right. I feel honored actually to be sitting right next to you.
Yeah, considering Saqala
ukubonana, you know, you're one of the people that motivated us, you know, when it comes to a proper.
Yes.
Mr. TT Mbha, welcome to the Venting Podcast.
Yeah, finally, I made it, Mama. I made it.
Thank you for coming. People have seen who you are, but I want you to start from the beginning with the Venters. They want to know who is TT Mbha and why TT Mbha.
Yo, sanibonani lapho. Igama lami uSipho Thato Mbha. Intwana sekasi, born and bred at Pinville, Soweto, descendant of the townships. Yeah, mawuphuma ePinville kushuthi kuyacaca ukuthi uphuma ekasi lamakasi. So I was born and raised there. Grew up under very humble beginnings. Nkhule like any other township. Kasi boy, slala ibola, because that's all we were exposed to at the time. But I was fortunate enough that my parents were able to take me to a multiracial school. At the time, we were one of the first black people to be accepted into the white school system. And Gulapong, you know, where I always, when I reflect on my journey, I realized I actually had the best of both worlds. So bengihlale kasi, marangeleza esingamleni. And with that, you know, you have to adjust to the two cultures. Because mawufika esingamleni, bakutshela ukuthi you must look me in the eye when you address me. Mara mawubuyela edladleni bathi ukuthi umuntu omdala akabheki emehlweni. So there's like a whole culture shift for a lot of us. Because now, when I get back home, I must be Utato. Mangiseskela nguSipho. So at school I was Sipho, but at home I was called Tato. So I also struggled with the name change. Grew up loving to walk around Ekasi looking at izindlu. And I think my love for real estate started there. I would walk hours and hours in izindlu. I was fascinated by corner homes. And I said to myself, one day I'll own a corner house, a white corner house. Which I did, of course, achieve. But I was fascinated because there was this perception with Moshalagu corner house near rich. Big windows, big house, big doors, you know. So there was that fascination that actually I didn't understand at the time, but really appreciated, you know, real estate. I'm actually a qualified fashion designer by profession. That's what I studied straight after matric.
Really?
Yeah, I studied fashion design and clothing management. I worked for Edgar's as a buyer for about a year and a half, got bored of it, and then I got into petroleum, got into marketing, got exposed into the corporate world. I've worked for Total South Africa, I've worked for Sasol, I've worked for Smirnoff as a brand ambassador. I was 1818 at the time before they introduced E-Red. So I was exposed in terms of marketing, clothing, petroleum, and the industry. And through those years, I obviously acquired my qualifications. So besides the degree in fashion design that I have, I actually have a degree in marketing as well through IMM. I am a chartered marketer by profession. You know, they've got chartered accountants.
Yes.
I'm a chartered marketer.
Marketer, what's that?
Chartered accountants.
Oh, but you do the marketing side of it?
I'm a chartered marketer. You have to go through a particular program and write a board exam to qualify for that. I'm also a master practitioner in real estate, which means I'm the highest authority when it comes to real estate advice. I also have a degree in project management through Cranefield College. So, ngifundile. Yeah, no, ngifundile. Yeah, mara umuntu wasestradeni mina.
Ngizwa
Yeah, mara mina nginja estrada yabona mina ngumuntu ogerezayo nya hustler, and I heard you say I'm still relevant. You know, I mean, I don't care much for relevance. I care more about leaving a legacy behind. You know, when you see that, you'll know TT was involved.
TT was involved. Yeah. And then we saw you getting into Mzansi SABC, getting into Mzansi Crib. Yeah. What was going on, Lab?
So when I left corporate in 2010, I resigned from Sasol. I was an exec at the time when I resigned. I became a partner in a production company called Black Brain Pictures. So I used to be partners with Mandla and Abutumi. We've produced about City Sesla, Topla, Lockdown. You know, the big series and sitcoms, but I got bored of it. 2014, I was diagnosed with meningitis, which almost took my life, and that was a turning point in my life.
Oh my God.
Being stuck in a hospital bed for 7 days, watching people come and go, wearing masks. This is 2014, eh? But a mask because it's an airborne disease, and it's meningitis, and it's destroyed quite a lot of people. And mine was what they call acute meningitis.
What caused yours?
So I started having these terrible headaches that led to migraines over 2 weeks. I couldn't, by my brain scan, they couldn't find what's wrong with me because according to the tests being right. Then they did something called a lumbar puncture. Lumbar puncture, you lay on the side and they hoy a long needle into your back, into your spine, and you're not allowed to move. If you move... you might have issues. So with that, they established Uguti. I've got acute meningitis and had to be hospitalized immediately. I was there for 7 days, bang trita, and fortunately I made it. And that's when I realized Uguti, in those 7 days, I made a decision to leave and resign from Black Brain and start Black Real Estate, get into real estate. So when I was released from that hospital, I told myself, I'm going to try this real estate business. There's not enough black people. If you look at the population in South Africa, there's 90% black people in terms of our population, right? Yet real estate agents in South Africa, 10% are black, 90% are white.
Yeah.
That pissed me off because I was like, Ganjani, when 90% of us can't even get past the threshold at 10%. What's wrong? Why is it so difficult for black people to make it in the real estate space? And then I started Black Real Estate, and then I started Mzansi Cribs. So it's two different entities.
Did you fund yourself, or did you get any assistance?
No, I didn't get any assistance. What I did is I used all the funding that I had from my experience of working. All my payouts, I threw it all into that pot. But I was very clear, Guti, I'm going to prove a point that a black person can be successful in the real estate space. I've been doing it for 7 years now, since 2014. How's my maths? 8 years? 7 years? My maths is not 8. Good.
It's 8 years.
8 years, ne? Yeah, Bazo's correct. And in the past 7 years, I can tell you, Guti, we've disrupted the space in such an incredible way that a lot of these other white-owned agencies felt the pinch of this guy. First of all, we don't do for sale boards, Tina. You'll never find a for sale board at Strateni.
And then
why waste my money on boards that get stolen? That's Georgia.
Yeah.
And the people who steal them are the agents.
And bas like literally so
I realized it's a waste of money, and I started focusing on the digital side of things, social media.
Yes.
I started because I was fortunate enough to have a lot of celebrity friends, started doing deals for them, finding them houses, and they would post on my behalf, and people started realizing, well, geez, TT's got quite a wide range of celebrity clients, politicians, business people that are respected, and so the word spread. There's this new kid on the block, a black guy who's servicing interests and I started educating a lot of black people around the do's and don'ts of property, because there's this fear when it comes to property. There's this fear, it's only for the rich. True. It's actually not.
True.
It's
I'm
actually
one of them. That's what I thought.
it's intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Because they've wanted us to always feel intimidated by the space. But the more you realize and the more you research about the space, you realize ukuthi abantu abamnyama have always been investors without realizing that. Stockfells. The idea of a Stockfell is for us to club together for a common goal, right?
Yes.
Whether that common goal is traveling, or whether it's groceries, whether it's ukuyothenga impahla at the end of the year for abantwana, whatever the cause is. But the fact that you can get people together for a common cause and keep imali every month or every week, depending. Khona ama-Stockfell wabantu abahlangana nokuhlangana.
Yeah.
Mara uyazi ngama-Sunday imali imele iphume. Uyazi your contribution, and it's been done for years by our parents. So real estate is the same. Imagine if you had to club in with 5 of your cousins and start buying properties. How many properties would you have?
Yo, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And ilogi haba, so it's like
Yeah,
a
chick.
lot. A lot.
Yeah, chick.
A lot.
Yeah, chick.
So,
So yeah, that's what we do.
do you have a property manager where we get through Stockfells?
There's lots. There's a lot of property Stockfells out there where you become a member, and obviously there's a constitution that drives the Stockfell. I mean, I hosted a Stockfell conference earlier this year where I brought all Stockfells, different types of Stockfells, and we kind of exposed them to how big the Stockfell industry is. It's an industry that's worth more than 50 billion. 50 billion.
What?
It's worth
Would be like
50
billion.
billion.
Not
yes.
M.
50 billion. And let me tell you something. There's no single bank in this country that owns the Stockfell market. Yabahlula. Yabahlula. Think about it. Look around. Which bank is pushing Stockfells? But they're trying to get into that Stockfell market. And a lot of people call it whatever they want to call it now. They've modernized the name. Maroksala ma Stockfell.
Yeah, yeah.
Ukusalayo.
Ukusala is
The
Stockfell.
minute nizohlanganisa
NSH.
imali, it's a Stockfell.
So what motivated you to move? Ngoba you did say ukuthi you just walk around the guys and ubona izinto zasemakhoneni, you know, and get inspired by that. Now, uma usuqhubeka wenza i-Black Estate, did you partner with people and abantu balethile uletha amanye ama-real estates?
Yeah.
Abane experience?
Yeah.
Or what did you do? Or uthathe from lapha ekhaya wafundisa?
No, so what happened is to become a qualified real estate practitioner in South Africa, you have to do an internship for a year. So you have to work for someone for a year. So I worked for Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the biggest real estate agency in the US. They're number 1 in the US. So I obviously went around and researched in terms of other agencies, which I'm not going to name because they don't deserve to be named. Like Sisbaniga, a platform for free.
Manje.
So Labo and Bazio, the usual. I approached them and they wanted me to work for them. And I didn't want to work for anyone. I wanted to partner with them. So Keller Williams were open enough to, give me the opportunity to work as an intern for a year. I actually, learned so much. And remember, I'm coming from a position of being an exec as a soul. Now I'm an intern. So ngqale phansi, basically, where I have to learn. Some of the guys that were supposed to be my mentors ended up making me ngibenzela amatiye, into ezinjalo, yeah, but you could see ukuthi lana kune-abuse nyana of sorts, you know. But bengekho lapho mina in terms of my mindset, I was there to learn and absorb as much. And then I wrote my board exam, and then I qualified as a real estate practitioner. And then from then on, I had to write a second board exam, which qualifies me as a master practitioner in real estate. Then I was able to operate on my own. The beauty about partnering with Keller Williams is that they are US-based, so I've got a lot of clients that are from the US that want to buy in South Africa. I've also been able to set up offices in the US. So I've got an office in Texas.
What?
I've got an office in Atlanta. I've got an office in New York.
Why is it logo?
Because you're not my clients.
Oh,
You're
so
not the
your
target
clients-
market. So a lot of Americans know me because obviously I operate quite
big.
aggressively that side. Yeah, that's why I'm always in the
Hey,
US.
that's big.
Yeah. So you wouldn't know about it because not a lot of South Africans buy properties in the US. But a lot of US citizens buy properties in South Africa. Especially Cape Town.
Do you think it's possible for us to buy property that side? And how is the property, how are we going to benefit if I'm South African and I buy property that side?
Well, it depends on your
don't
interests.
stay there.
It depends on your interests. So it's like saying, what about a person who buys a property in Durban but they don't stay there? It's the same argument.
It's just the distance, man.
It's an investment, right? These days, everything is on social media. It's on digital. You can get access to anyone around the world. You can just send them a DM, and if you're lucky enough, they might just respond. That's the beauty of digital digital media. So for me, sorry, this phone.
No, I cannot stress. Nimyekeleni unami. Cela nimyekele. Unami manje nizomthola maqhele.
So we don't necessarily have a lot of South Africans that invest in the US for a lot of reasons. I mean, we are coming off the back foot as abantu abamnyama. We're still trying to play catch up from a financial point of view. We've made a lot of mistakes as abantu abamnyama, and for me, it's about really pushing investments in our country. So, I push more the narrative. The reason why I've got offices in the US is I'm trying to get all these US millionaires and billionaires to invest in my country. I don't want to take the money out.
No.
So that's why my focus is on them to buy properties in South Africa, especially in Cape Town. Like I said, Cape Town is an investor's dream. It's like mini Europe.
Yeah, true. And then, also when the lenta Mzansi crib, right? What was your biggest one? Or Bona was so emotional, Mawibona. Indlu, Mauqeda kuyenza, ubona leyo family the way begunga khona.
Sure.
Waba touch like yini uyifundile lapho.
Yo.
And why did it touch you?
I won't lie. We've produced 3 seasons of the show, which means I've changed the lives of 13 times 3 families or communities. Because remember, we don't just do families; we also do institutions like Crèche or community centers, and we upgrade them. They are all special in their own way because it's the backstory that we look at. We look at the need of those people or that family. We've done so many. I can't pinpoint any, But mina abogogo, mina ngithanda abogogo.
So I remember gogo khona way emotional indlela, and I was like, sonke lesikhathi logogo laza fike kule age akuyo, abona iphupho lakhe. Se abantu abadala sekasekugcineni sekasakhona ukwenza lutho, and I would say a stranger comes and says
from nowhere, literally, because I am a stranger to this.
You are a stranger to her.
The first episode of season 1 is actually the most memorable for me because we went in there to go fix a bedroom in a bathroom yagalokoko. And we're busy fixing. So I'd already exhausted the budget. And I see this lady sitting and she's in tears. So this was not on camera. So I go to her and I'm like, Kukuking, what's along? I can't believe you've done this for me. But we actually don't have hot water. We didn't know this. So I had to now tell the team, good guys, we need to install a geyser here. It's outside our budget. And we had to find money. And when I called her, so I got my plumbers to install this geyser and make sure it's proper. And she opened the tap. It's the first time she's had hot water in her house. Things we take for granted.
Yeah.
Hot water. And she was like, out of everything you've done, thank you for giving me hot water. So now we're doing government work.
Yeah,
because that's a human basic need.
That on its own is a fear touch because we are born good. Okay, manje umsebenzi wami uyasiza. So it's not only about the house itself.
But actually,
you went deeper to this.
Absolutely, the lives. There's another lady. She had a chronic condition, and we needed to convert her bathroom into a shower, so that she can shower quicker.
Yeah.
Because of her chronic condition, and she was like, I cannot believe you guys actually came here. Because remember, we get a lot of entries. I mean, we get more than 40,000 entries.
I can imagine.
And we can only choose 13 per season.
So you did how many seasons?
We've done 3 seasons of the show.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I'd watch the show and I'd see how emotional.
And it's unscripted.
You become so emotional. And then, are you now introducing your kids to the estate agencies as well? Or
I want my kids to follow a path that is designed for them by exposing them to everything. So they see what I do. I even take them with when I do viewings, so that if they want to get into it, they can. I take them to different concerts. I take them to spaces where they can see and decide. I mean, at the moment, they want to both become doctors. The one wants to become a heart surgeon. The other one wants to become a brain surgeon. But with kids, their interest will change as they grow older. But the important thing is to expose them. Till now, our parents never exposed us to a lot of things out there, unfortunately, because of financial reasons. And for me, it's really about taking it to the next level and showing them they've got options and they can decide whatever they want to do, but they don't have to do what I'm doing.
Is it true that you bought one of your kids' property for a birthday?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm in real estate. It's like, so in 21st yabo. Angajazi bebasinike ikey ezingaka. Angazi bafuna senze.
You unlockani ngalesi key second. Yovulani.
Azi ngizibuza ukuthi mara ikey ezingaka ngiwenzani ngaso. So the idea is that when they turn 21, I'll present them with 4 real keys.
So what are you doing with imali yabo manje? Ngithi the properties are there.
They've got investments under their name. So I've got investment accounts under their name, and I manage. So my company manages these properties on their behalf. Obviously, we take a management fee. We treat them like any other client.
Oh, so I'm a client.
Yeah, we treat them like any other client. They have to pay. Uthi ngubaba kuza later. So when they turn 21, they will get four keys each. And then they must move out. They must move out.
It's a must.
They must move out. Independence starts at a young age. I mean, I left home when I was 18. So, manigi grace 2 years now. Because maybe to 18, I coupe.
What was your first property and where was it?
Sure. My first property was in an area called Velgejevel.
Okay.
It was a little 2-bed, simplex, little garden.
Did you buy it or were you renting?
No. I've never rented in my life. I don't know what it's like to rent. And that's why in my business, I don't have a rental part of the business because I'm trying to educate Nyama to move away from renting. You're paying someone's bond. Why would you want to do that? So I even remember how much it was. It was like 260,000, that 2-bed, It was expensive at the time, because I was earning 4,000 a month at the time. I was still working for Edgar's as a trainee. So, but I got out of that cycle. So, ekasi mawkhula, you matriculate and you go get a job and you buy a car. So I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. You must matriculate, get a job, get a place. I'd rather use amateksi maringazi uthi ngiyakwami.
Okay.
Than use imoto enhle mara ngiyosayohlupha abazali. Ngihlukumeza abazali ngiyabakokotela nobakokotela. That doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to change the perception around the face of success, because thina masikhula you are successful mothenga imoto. Usebenzile. Wasebenza loya wasekhoneni.
Why then?
I think it's lack of knowledge as well. I think it's also lack of understanding where the true value lies when it comes to our assets.
Kodwa nje, honestly speaking, before ngiqala ukuthenga umuzi wami, when you speak about property, you think you have to earn
a lot.
80.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And what does it require for a person to own a property?
Well, so first of all, you have to have a stable source of income.
How much?
And it doesn't matter how much.
That's the thing.
Because a lot of people will expect that you must earn millions, but it starts. It's like if you want to become a successful entrepreneur or business person, you have to be able to manage your own personal balance sheet. Qala ngawe. Uyazi uhola 10,000. Mara ama bill wakho are 12,000. Kanjani? Asiqale nje lapho. The concept of taking credit is such a bad thing. And unfortunately, our banking system forces you to take credit. And you have to have accounts to qualify for your bond. Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of us, we got so used to the concept yama lay-by. Hambi yo ufuna iteki le-1,000 yo lay-by nge-2 clipper. Hambu bu fake clipper. Which, if you think about it as a concept, it's a good idea because you are pushing towards a common goal. You know what I can't afford it now, but I'm gonna work towards that, right? Yeah. Why not do the same when you buy a property? It's the same principle. If you earn 5,000 rands, you must try and limit your expenses to a point where you've got disposable income. So, and that's why I've always said, abantu don't understand how a person who earns 100,000 rands is always coloting from other people. Yet, 10,000 they're just managing their income and expense balance sheet better than the guy with 100,000. You would assume 100,000 should have a lot of money left, right? But they end up taking more in terms of debt. They're going to end up buying a car that they can't afford. They're going to end up staying in areas that they can't afford because they want to be in Bryanston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uzonibulala.
And unfortunately, we want to be with people that we aspire to, but at the end of the day, you need to look after your personal pocket first. Qala lapho. Ngeke ube nemali if you can't manage your own personal.
No.
How do you run a successful business? But when you look at you can't even manage your bills. I-bank statements sakho awazi nokuthi kuphumani. I know everything that comes out of my bank account. Even a 2 rand. I'll phone the bank and say, you guys charge me 8 rands. What is that for? Please reverse it. Because I understand my balance sheet. Now, if I understand my personal balance sheet, imagine how much better I can understand my business balance sheet.
If people are looking for property, where should I go? What? Okay, we need to understand our balances. We need to understand what goes out and what comes in, and our salaries and what we can afford. But then, where do you start? Because getting a car is very easy. Hey,
it's the easiest.
You
can get a car in 30 minutes. You know that.
Even if you're earning 10,000 and but 9.5, but bazokubuza grocery ukuthi ubhatala malini but le moto 9.5 bazokunikeza. Lapho khola 10k shoot usala nge 500 but bazokunikeza.
They'll give it
it's
to you.
very easy.
Yeah.
That you don't even have to study about it.
Yeah.
But the 1 year property.
Yeah.
Nyaphi nangu ngutumi ngikhola 5,000 rand. Ngishona kuphi manje ukuthi ngiyofuna.
Ukhola 5,000. So there's two things. Ukhola 5,000, which means your expenses you need to be really managed. You know, what are your expenses? What are you spending your money on? Are you renting maybe a backroom or manje, and what are you saving as well? The culture of saving in South Africa is at such a low rate that you'll be surprised that even people with a lot of money don't save because they splurge on it. So the best advice I can give you is to start saving and look at what you're saving and have a particular goal. If you're going to buy an apartment for 500,000, for example, you know that the bond on that is 5,000 and you're earning 5,000, so you can't afford it. So you gotta work your way and your magic to get to a point where you earn more than 5,000. And these days you cannot have your eggs in one basket. Even people who have got formal employment have got side hustles, and that's where it is. I think COVID taught us to become entrepreneurs by force.
Yo.
Yeah.
I
I mean, the first 2 weeks of COVID was a holiday for all of us. We extended the foot until the reality hit after a month, because now the bills are coming in. My banks don't stop nama debit order. But you're not making money because you're locked down at home. So what now? So now you're forced to find other ways. And I always say, business is an opportunity at a profit. Business. I look at problems and I create solutions and I charge a fee for that. That's what I do. So I look at the problem. I look at, okay, so there's a big power issue in South Africa right now. I'm in real estate. So how am I going to be part of the solution? I'm building solar farms now. I'm building solar farms. So instead of complaining,
feel like you are everywhere.
you see, people like to say, jack of all trades, master of none, right?
They say that.
Right? So what's wrong with being a jack of all trades? What if you are gifted?
Thank you.
You are a DJ, you are a host, you are
yes.
So why must we box you? Why must you box me into just real estate? And the thing is, with me, real estate is so wide. So not only do we sell homes, we also develop complexes.
And President.
President? Mbhaula.
Yeah,
Mbhaula, yeah. And Mbhaula now is part of real estate. So everything I do is in real estate. Now we're getting into insurance. One of the first real estate agencies that are going to offer insurance. So you buy a house from me, I get to insure your place. I get to insure your car.
TT.
So it's about growing your portfolio, diversifying into different spaces, and finding your true calling and your purpose. We do a lot of community work, of course. I believe in community work.
Yes,
that's why I've got the Mzansi Cribs Makeover Show. That's why I run a movement called Amatimer for men.
Amatimer.
So Amatimer is it's a men's wellness network. So we focus on the wellness yamachita, amadota. Because tina machita we don't talk. We like to bottle things up. We don't like to show weakness. This whole concept of ikali, we are killing all of that. This whole notion that men are trash, want to kill all of that. So we have conversations with men. We curate events for men. where we bring men together, like now on the 19th, 18th and 19th of November. 19th of November is International Men's Day. And what normally happens? It's just another day, right?
Nothing
But when Women's Day comes, I'm a high tea aphuma lapho.
Bona.
Neza ngeyigqoko ezingaga. So I'm bringing that back for Amachita. I'm curating a suits and sneakers event when guys will come dressed in suits and sneakers. So on the 18th, we are at Platinum Belt, Mhlanga.
Okay.
It's a restaurant. And then on the 19th, we are at Disofeng. So I'm inviting all Amachita to come through. I've got great speakers who are going to talk to us about physical wellness.
Tickets?
So, yeah, it's ticket sales. It's 400 rands,
I want to buy for my
Disofeng.
husband.
You must. 400 rands, Disofeng, and 500 rands. And with that, you also get a grooming kit that's worth 1,000 rand when you arrive. Want to teach men how to look after their skin. Want to teach men how to look after their beard, their hair, their nails. There's this perception within Dr. Masin to be and shine, which I don't understand why. As in Dr. Milwe, Namazipo snacks. So, I'm a speaker. So when I speak with my hands. And the last thing I want is the audience to see scruffy looking hands as in mpunga. So we educate men about looking after yourself, nutrition, what you eat. Do you exercise? I mean, I'm 44, and you can see Guti.
40?
I'm 44.
I did.
And you can 44. And I'm born Guti. I've got a good shape, nyachima, I eat well. And then we also want to talk to men about mental wellness. We want to talk to men about depression.
Thank you.
We want to talk to men about anxiety. A lot of men are under pressure.
Too much.
Men are expected to provide. Men are expected to protect. Men are expected to love. But who's doing that for the men?
Nobody.
Who asks
but
the men?
themselves.
These 4 guys there, they're behind the cameras. If you can ask them now, when last did anyone ask how you doing? I promise you now they'll say, yo. Because no one asks us.
I expect
No because we are expected to just move on. And that's why a lot of men end up committing suicide. There's too much pressure on the men. And then we're also going to talk to the men about financial wellness. In Yungu, want to talk to men about imali, the importance of money. Ezindoda mele ube nemali. Mawungena mali ezindoda, isithunzi sakho gets compromised. We all know that. If you want to see the power of a man's ego, go to Konka. If you want to see the power of a man's ego, go to Konka. Ukwabona wena eKonka itafula that's run by a woman. Nje.
Next.
But yes, you do find women who take themselves out.
They are
That happen. But I'm saying in general, you never find women competing for bottles at an establishment, because I think women are more mature and more woke than us men. Women are more organized. That's why on Women's Day, on Mother's Day, there's always a big hype around that, because women are organized. So I'm trying to organize men to come together as men, to cry together. This thing must come to an end, because we forget that we are human beings first, before you are a man, before you are a woman.
Yes.
So yeah, those are the events that we're doing in Amataima, and it's growing.
I'm going to give to my husband.
Please do gift your husband and your uncles and your nephews.
I will.
They must all come.
I will.
There'll be changed men. We are changing men for the betterment of women.
Yes. That's the spirit. We've seen you. We see you are a family man.
Yeah.
You know how you take care of your kids, how you drop them to school, how you fetch them. Is it because Kibito?
Diva.
That one.
Diva. Diva.
What motivated you? Did you grow up from a family view, or what motivated you to be a hands-on dad? Because naturally, I think as women we have normalized the good umuntu wendoda maka there for abantu. Cheers.
Oh, cheers, man.
What motivated you ukuthi ube a family? Thank you. Ukuthi ube a family man uzibone vele wena so umuntu, because you are hands on ngabantwana bakho, and we can see we are not only doing it for social media, but nabo kancane kancane, daddy this, daddy that, bahlele emotweni bajive nawe lapha, daddy all the time. What motivated you? Because when a man is there for their kids, we feel like we need to clap for them, yay! As if we have normalized absent fathers.
No, absolutely. It's like giving props to a fish for swimming.
Yeah.
This fish, I ain't swim. You know what I mean? Like, it's expected. So for me, I think everything goes back to point of reference. My point of reference is that I was fortunate enough to have both my grandparents alive on the paternal and maternal side. So umama na kubaba, I was raised by both of them, and bebashadile way too. So I used to watch both my grandparents in terms of how they are raising us as their grandkids, and I used to observe how they relate to each other. Obviously, Tina, at that time, we were raised under very strict conditions. Beshai watina, corporal punishment was still illegal. And then I used to observe how both my parents raised me and my sister. I was fortunate again that both my parents were married. They're still alive. And I would take from that. And when I started, having kids, I had a good point of reference in my grandparents and in my parents. And I've always promised myself, Uti, my kids must see me as their friend first than a father.
And they
So
are.
ngimpintshabo kahle kahle.
Aye,
And yabona mangiyimpintshabo, ku easy ukuthi ngiba manipulate. And ku easy nabo ukuthi bang manipulate because we are friends. What that does is it opens that line of communication because when they look at me, babona ibade lapho. So when my kids get bullied at school, I'll be the first to know. When my kids start going through their periods, I'll be the first to know.
Are you going to have that conversation?
I've already had it.
Serious?
When they turn 7. And I encourage every father, when your daughter turns 7, have a conversation about menstruation. I even bought them a happy pack. In that happy pack are pads, panty liners, chocolates, sweets, and a love note that I wrote to them to say, the day you start your period and I'm not around, go to that box and remember this moment. But if it happens and I'm there, even better. So part of the Amatama Wellness Network is to educate men about menstruation. We also want to educate the boy child about menstruation because what happens is that when the girl child goes through periods at school, the boy child is the one who bullies them, and the girl child is scared to go back to school because it's a humiliating thing because men don't understand what goes through a woman's body, and we're trying to teach men to become more sensitive. If that boy child gets educated ekaya guti, intombazana when they go through this, be more caring. Go check on her. Imagine how much little bullying would have. So that's what we do. So me and my daughters have got their relationship, and then after that, I'm their father. Obviously, when I reprimand them as a father. And then chikana ke mina ngihlali. Bayazi nabo ukuthi hey.
Yeah, no, uyafika leyo moment because
all the time, especially with Dumi because we ogcwele inkani. And akasabi umuntu uyakutshela kahle ukuthi you can't do this, you can't tell me this, and she walks off. And I wanted to have that spirit of independence, but also understand ukuthi there's always respect. I teach my kids to respect every single person that they encounter, irrespective of their social standing. An auntie, you must respect. The guy who does our garden, you must respect. Anyone that walks into our premises, you must respect because respect will take you everywhere.
You did a video on TikTok and both of them were there and your wife was there. And Mfazo Akosh is very calm, as we can see. And people were busy saying, no, she's not interested. She's angry. What did you do to her? Can you please explain how did it even affect you? Did you see the need of explaining yourself? But my wife, she's not a person out there or papayo because the hype, it's the three of you.
Yeah.
I wonder how does she deal with 3?
She's our videographer, that one. We were tati tombe, anything. Look.
She's behind the scenes.
Yeah,
she works behind the scenes.
It's not my job to explain my family dynamic. I'm not gonna sit there and explain why my wife is not smiling in a video. She's an introvert. So I love letter to the social media followers with but disclaimer. I don't have to do that. If you don't like the content I'm putting out, the unfollow button is for free. You can just unfollow. So
same as you followed.
Just like you followed, it's a choice. So a lot of people will complain, she's not smiling, she looks unhappy.
Yes,
No.
they said that.
If she was unhappy, she wouldn't be in that video. Let's start there. So, I just think social media, unfortunately, has got that negative side of it where people make decisions or perceptions about people they don't know anything about. And it's not your duty to be explaining. Imagine, no. So I don't have to do that. At the end of the day, you have every right to consume what I put out there or not to consume it. And it's as simple as that.
Who do you look up to? Who's your role model?
I look up to my dad.
Oh, yeah?
Tamalam. He's the closest form of inspiration I have because I've seen the sacrifices he's put for his family. My dad is not educated. He sacrificed a lot for his own siblings. I mean, his younger brother is a judge in the Supreme Court because my dad also sacrificed. He had to sacrifice to go work and his brother had to go to varsity. So I look at someone like that and I'm like, you are so selfless in who you are. Yet you are not educated. Like everyone who thinks, Wuti, you have to be educated to be successful. Yes, I believe in education, but circumstances, unfortunately, won't allow all of us to be educated, right? So I look up to my dad because I've seen the husband he is to my mom. I've seen the father he is to us, and I've seen the uncle he is to my cousins, and just the respected member he is ekasi. Tamalam liyaziwa ukuthi hey leya Ntswembu, he dresses well, he loves himself. He actually is my inspiration when it comes to dressing because he's clean. You know, he takes pride in who he is. He's 72 years now. And it's funny how the roles have reversed. He's like my son now.
Oh,
You know, when he calls and I don't pick up the phone, can't take in, no. You're too easy. But we've got that relationship. It wasn't easy because remember growing up back then, tina bestrajwa, tina khut. Imvubu. Tina beshawang imvubu, tina. Yeah, imvubu. I mean, imvubu.
Was strict guys.
Yeah, imvubu. Yo, itamalam was strict, and I think.
Bonga izlento ukuthi uzoyetla bhini ubuye late.
Besitshontsha nemoto thina besishaya yonke into thina I think we got to a point ekasi I was so immune to pain. I was very immune to pain. Bestrajwa phela thina boyetrajwa baba wendlu yase3 ubuyele ekhaya ukhala ukuthi bakutrapile bakutrape futhi wenzani. So I think my dad stopped ukungishaya when I was 17. Uthemeke ndemvubu ayibamba so. Ngabona imvubu mate?
Yeah.
Ngayibamba. And I looked at him in the eye and I said to him, this is the last time you'll ever touch me. Because ngizokutrapa. He never touched me.
Hi, Titi.
He never touched me after that.
Titi, hi.
I held it like this. Sengiyindoda phela manje. Ngizoshaya enye indoda. Ngizoshaya enye indoda. And that's why I moved out of home at 18 because I realized ukuthi you can't have two bulls in one crow. And manje phela mina I'm a younger bull. And ngiyabona ukuthi le ngizoyihliphiza lena and ngizoyihliphiza in front of image yakhe ione lami. Let me not compromise him. Yabo? So kungcono mina ngizi excuse. And we laugh about it in retrospect because impinchami. I actually have a TV show with my dad that's coming up.
Really?
It's called like Timer Like Ntwana. Where I co-host with him.
Is it a podcast or?
I'm a podcast on Amali. Mina
Titi.
Nyadala. No, it's gonna be a TV show. Obviously, I can't have out too much because we're still contracting.
Okay.
But the idea of the show is him and I are going to have frank conversations with other fathers and their sons, other uncles and their nephews. We're breaking this cycle that men are trash. So we're gonna have conversations. So if you've got Itayama who's still alive or an uncle, it doesn't have to be your father or a father figure. We want to have a conversation with you about your relationship and want to break down this toxic masculinity as well.
But for men, so if
it's just for men.
If it's a boy child,
or malume, a father figure.
All right.
Yeah, okay. A father figure. And a lot of people have said, why don't you bring women? And I'm like, guys, for a change, can men and boys be selfish about themselves so that they can fix themselves? And yet we are trash.
I know.
If not
all of you.
No, Mara, Nina, when you do your Women's Day events, you don't find us there in Klupa. Nisleba, nienzani. Siyazi because I'm a pillow talk angithi siyazi ukuthi benikhuluma ngani nenzani.
Inkinga yethu siyanhleba amasoda bese siyanqoqela. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
so we really want to kind of create an environment where sons can have open conversations with their dads or whoever they look up to that's a male figure. Every single man, I don't care there's that male figure that you look up to. So for example, besides my father, I grew up looking up to Dr. Kumalo. He was our idol. Ask any guy who's my age, maybe younger than 30, I don't know if they can relate, but we used to literally watch Dr. Kumalo play. Immediately after that, so Lali Wanpal, and want to emulate him.
Yes.
He was our hero. So you always have a hero, and for us, we're trying to create heroes for these young boys to know there's someone that you can go talk to, there's someone that you can go cry to. This thing of men bottling up their emotions leads to GBV. Let's be honest, because and might be to my detriment.
Yeah, and izofaka the physical part of
then
it.
We also visit men in jail. By the way,
Really, that's nice.
Yeah, we've got a show called Amatama on Parole.
Bengifuna
And
ukuyenza
amathambo
lento
behind
ukuthi
bars.
ngiye emajail futhi hayi mara
Kuyathusa lapha kuyathusa because mina ngiyangena namakhamera lapha ngihlale namajita ngihlale nawuthi ebhodisa abantu itshe ukuthi mina ngibhodisa abantu abayi5 or abayi10.
Mothabheka history background
So
it leads to the emotional side.
Yeah, when you look at what causes a lot of these men to be behind bars is there was no father figure. There was no family unit. There was no stability. They have nothing to lose. If I've got nothing to lose, do you think going to jail is going to deter me?
No.
So you go in there and but when you meet these guys initially, they instill that fear. Angibheka bathi and wena ubani wena? Ngithi uyabona mina awuthami. Idanyani akusinto engisabayo. And now uyangokusabi by the way because you have to break the ice. So that they can see and so that you can humanize them. Angathi when you go in there ufake i-overall orange. So vese uzosha because what if uzokukama? Hayi cameraman uzokusave. These guys are not going to save you. Sengibambe kanje. Yiwo oqala bokubaleka futhi. Bashiya ama camera roll. Sizotrenda my trend. Wena sokuphelile ngawe. So also the reason why we talk to fathers who are behind bars is because we understand the fact that they've got kids. And those kids, unfortunately, have to go through a stigma. We're breaking those things. We break each other by the things we say. You want to learn the tongue. So I always tell people, just think twice before you utter something because you can never take it back.
Never.
You can never. No matter apologize like I 50. Lento issue that means shoot it into the issue. You just waited. And that's why I'm by issue is about Dagi.
Yes. Yeah.
There's always a little bit of truth in a joke.
When did you first make your first million? When did you become a millionaire?
You know, this millionaire thing is very risky because people then will box you. Yeah. So when people ask me that, I always try and move away from it because being a millionaire is not a point of success.
Okay.
So if someone became a millionaire at the age of 20 versus a person who became a millionaire at the age of 40, what's the difference?
Isn't it the difference that the time I was 18, I planned to in 5. What if it was my 5-year goal? After 5 years, I'm a millionaire. So and then it happens.
So I'll answer your question this way. First of all, it depends on what currency we're talking, right? Okay. Are we talking rands or are we talking pounds? Because my millionaire status is not rand based. So if you're talking pounds, then we have a different conversation. If you're talking dollars, we've got a different conversation. But being a millionaire, you mean, and also we need to define what a millionaire is. Having $1 million in your account doesn't make you a millionaire. You know that. Having $1 million rands in your account cannot make you a millionaire. You're not a millionaire.
An investment.
What's your worth? Okay. What is your worth? What are you worth? That's I prefer to look at that, Mina, because cash comes and goes, right? If you've got $1 million in your account now and you go buy something 100,000, that means you're no longer a millionaire.
Even if we buy something $100, it's no longer $1 million.
So it's about the incumbent value that you bring. I think I was 22.
Yeah?
Yeah, which is 22 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is in rand terms, isn't it?
Ngale?
Leyo asiyeke because izo attractor. Yeah, izo attracting things phone, and also I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by the impact that I have on other people. So I'm driven by looking at 10 boys that I've mentored and now they've become millionaires. Okay. And if they become millionaires, can you imagine how much money I'm making from them? Because let's be honest, this thing always ends up, Sari am Samaria, Utimeche so meti Allah, I do good. I do a lot of good without expectation. But I also remember that I'm a businessman. I look at problems, I offer a solution at a price. So I'm not going to feel bad for mentoring someone who then becomes a millionaire. Imagine you're mentoring someone who is a millionaire when that means you're not a good mentor.
Oh, yeah.
I want to produce the next generation of millionaires at the age of 21. When they turn 21, lento le is kia. Yeah. Yaphela manje. Ngokuniki check.
Very physical.
Ngokuniki check and in a different currency. So I always get confused because remember I've got operations in the US. So Mauti, currencies, I always refer to the dollar because that's the currency that I operate the most. Yeah.
I'm motivated.
Are you?
I am. By this interview.
I'm motivated by you.
So
And this podcast, yeah, I think you're onto something really great. And your podcast can only grow from here, depending on the quality of guests you have. Yeah, I'm going to settle down those bedela, basitshela manga. Basitshela manga ngento ezingekho. And also there's this perception that I'm into Forex and all of that. I don't do that.
Please clear the air.
I'm in
I
real
was about to
estate.
ask
I've
that
got so many
question.
profiles on Facebook of people that are impersonating me on TikTok. I do not do Forex. I do not do Bitcoin. I only do real estate. So if it's got to do with homes, buildings,
That's you.
warehouses, land, farms, insurance, I'm there. Bitcoin, I don't even understand it. I don't even understand it. So please, ngiyacela bafethu yekela ungisendela ama DM ningitshela ukuthi ngintshontshele imali. Khona there's this lady who posted on TikTok athi ngimtshontshele i-4,000. So do you understand when someone posts like that, I've got two options to respond. I can be rude and tell her ukuthi i-4,000 actually is something I can blow in one conversation.
Yeah.
Yabona, that's rude.
That's rude.
That's rude.
Kuye
Kuba-
mara.
and about
Mara
uyazibona
iqiniso
lo.
leli rude.
Mara iqiniso vele
Yeah.
ukuthi i-4,000
Yeah.
siswami hayi kabi. Bengikhola 4,000 mangicala ukusebenza.
Exactly.
So what do you think that 4,000
Is
means
now.
to me now? The year 2000 was my first job at Edgar's. I was earning 4,000. I even still have my first pay slip. You know why I do that? I keep a history of where I'm from so that I'm always grounded into where I'm going. So I never forget ukuthi ngiphuma. That's why ngiyekasi mina every weekend. Mangkhona, if I'm around, I go to kasi because I want to always be grounded. And a lot of people are, I want to, hey, nale kasi leli lakho. I am who I am because of ikasi. Ikasi is the best varsity of life. I can tell. You can see umuntu okhule kasi nomuntu okhule mabebs. Umuntu okhule kasi uyahereza man. Umuntu ekasi kumele angene eklapini bathi ngeke ngene uzombona seke phakathi.
Kanjani?
Ungazi ukuthi ungene kanjani. Laba bakhulele ama-suburbs bayangala. Ngicela ngihambe.
You know what my partner said? My partner said this other day, I'm inspired by unyawupe, yabo. Ngithi nyawupe. Athi hayi ngekho umuntu ohereza njengenyawupe
Akekho.
because unyawupe akanamali akasebenzi but ubhema every day. So angikwazi ukuhlala ngizohlulwa unyawupe abhema every day.
Nje. So it's the same argument. So abantu abayenza ama-bank heist, they're the most intelligent. Imagine if you took that intelligence and you put it into entrepreneurship. If you can pull off a bank heist, hi, uslam.
Uhambile, yo, you
Uslam.
unstoppable.
But imagine if you had to turn that into an academy of sorts where you take these guys. They're very intelligent. It's just that abazi ukuthi leyo intelligence by channel.
Bayifake kuphi, yeah.
Of course, the high unemployment rate in our country is not helping.
True.
And mina, instead of sitting on the back burner of the comfort of my home and complaining, I'm doing something about it. I'm teaching men about being financially savvy. I'm teaching men about the importance of money. And this thing I want to mnyama yokuthi when we get successful, we like to go back to this terrible habit yokuthi hayi ngiyancenga. Uncengani? Uncenga uzufe. You must be able to celebrate your successes without being arrogant about it. And there's a difference. There are people who are arrogant about their success, but there's a way. And I think Ikasi teaches you that. Ikasi
How
teaches
to
you
channel
that.
it.
How
Then
to channel it.
blacklisting. Can you buy a house blacklisted?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So what's your take ngalaba bakhona bakusiza kanjani? Is it them? Is it an agency that you start ukuthi because there are agencies abathi bakusiza
Yeah.
no blacklisted.
Yeah.
So is it them that invest or that buy a house under bona bese bakunikeza yona?
Look, there's ways to do it legally because abanye they do it madala side. I don't know how they do it, but we've got teams that help people who are blacklisted to get them out of that blacklisting. But most importantly, what's the point of me getting you out of an addiction just for you to fall back into it? It's like taking someone to rehab for 2 weeks, then I feel like I'm too ready, then bazobuya foot. So we clean you up, we help you to clean up, but we help you to stay clean financially. So that's what we do. We offer those services. It does take time, and a lot of people are quick wins because I'm we're not there.
So you have financial advisors?
Yeah, we've got
under your
financial
team?
advisors, qualified financial advisors. We sell long-term and short-term insurance. I was fortunate enough to strike a very progressive deal with Sanlam and Santam, who are big insurers. They came to me.
Yes, okay.
They came to me.
Beze kwena.
Yeah. But you want to partner with
Ngesizulu
you.
beze kuye.
Yeah, intwana sekase. So the message out there is nothing is impossible just because you're from Kasi. There's this thing with Mapume Kasi. You are a little bit of a lower level than other people. And that's nonsense. Because if I can come from Epinville and I can go to Paris and work at Paris Fashion Week, I was working at Paris Fashion Week, and that's something no one can take away from me. From Pinville to Paris. Paris Fashion Week.
Abo PP. Pinville, Paris.
You can say all you want, Marok Salayo.
You were there.
I walked and I closed the show. Twana Sekas.
Yeah.
So do you understand what if when Twana Sekas and you're watching this, you see the infinite and immeasurable possibilities of what you can achieve out there if you just apply your mind and you just focus. And also hang out with people that desire greatness.
Oh, yes.
Hang out with people that desire greatness, because through that, greatness rubs off. It's like weakness. If trust me, and then get addicted. But if you hang out with people who are hungry, who are always doing proposals, who are shooting content, who are like really active, you know that days, I'm a fan. You'd have a day where you're like, hey, mara, being shoot at the hotel, mara. Hey, man.
Oh, I get days like that.
So also understand that not every door you open is going to be for you.
True.
Kona yiminyango, I mean, Talabang reject. Mzansi Cruise Makeover took me 8 years to get sponsors. 8 years. 8 years to get sponsors.
But you kept on because you understood the vision behind it.
I kept on knocking, and I also realized that certain doors are not meant for me, but for other people. But that's why I always say diversify. Don't come with one proposal and sit and wait. Come up with 10 proposals. Le my producer le khona zopop. And le mase popa so buela ngule konje nale. That's how you must run your business. So as a camera guy, for example, you can't have one gig. You can't. These days, you must learn to multitask, right? Yeah. As a camera guy, you're supposed to be able to shoot stills, video, do sound, do gaffer work.
Oh, yes.
You must be able to do everything. I mean, I used to run a production company, and I can tell you everything. I can edit, I can shoot, I can do everything. So what that does for me is that it gives me the agility. Uthala Peru, you're actor, you're director, or on my studio. So why wouldn't you want to be like him?
I'm inspired. Ngathi kahle benginterviewela mina. Because a lot of things zihambelana nami nje lezo sikhulumayo and ngizokutshela masiqeda ukuthi yini exactly.
Sitshele manje uyafihla.
No, not really. When you started talking about my podcast, when I started it, the anxiety. I remember after shooting my 4th episode, I told my partner,
it's tough.
Kunzima ukuthi uthole uTT uthi TT ngicela uze ku-venting podcast as big as you are uTT athini leyo uthi umsendele link uTT yabona ama subscriber ayi-50k yathi hayi I'm not coming there. uTT Mbha ubuye Paris yini izomletha ku podcast ena 50 subscribers. So there was a point whereby I felt like I know angikhona. Then when
and
it
look
comes
at you
to,
now.
You understand now mangibheka the problem now is la ikono manje anxiety more because like I'm every day I'm shocked with the like now I have to deliver. So ngikule pressure it's okay manje ke I must deliver.
But isn't that inspiring to that young girl who's watching you and who's listening to your story to say she almost gave up but she didn't. She's here.
Yeah, no.
And I can tell you right now, very soon you'll have Oprah sitting here.
TT Mbha ngiyoquleka.
Yeah. Ngeke uquleka uzoquleka yena. Start changing the way you think. Umuntu na yetoilet angithi njengawo. So yini special ngaye? Yini special kangaka? Twin saver. Is sort out sonke. Sonke. President. Sonke.
You know, I don't take what I don't take light what people said. The first time DJ Sbu, I told him I'm gonna open a podcast.
Yeah.
What's Vula? It's gonna be big. I did that.
Yeah.
Now it's you. Now I don't take. Isn't this so very light?
No, and you must receive it, because the gift of receiving is part of gift of giving as well. So mina I never in my wildest dreams ever thought that Will Smith and Jada would be my clients. I don't talk about it. They're my clients. I'm a client to me, but I don't talk about it because obviously yabo ngiyaqala ukukhuluma ngayo actually
Yeah.
lana
On the
xa umuntu
Vincent
ithombe nginazo
podcast.
nabo ngizithatha phi
On
ngihamba nje
Vincent.
ngithatha ithombe nabantu nje
Nje,
because
esithubeni.
ngibhorekile nje
Yeah.
mina no it's because I invest in my business and I invest in my vision and I realize my vision and the vision changes every day so masikhula thina we used to have 10-year plans 10 years is too far i-covid isibonisile ukuthi 10 years
Yo.
10 years
COVID.
uzoba ukuphi in 10 years yeah so I invest in the now I invest in the immediate future and I invest in things that don't need me to be there so passive income is one of my biggest income streams I don't have to be there I'm not in the US now the guys are operating kumele bavuke futhi manje because angithi time zone difference so I know kumele bavuka because egroupini morning everybody status that time kusebusuku la so you start operating on a global clock when there's load shedding here it's like ngiyabachela guys we've got load shedding what's that what are you talking about man you know what I'm saying so once you start operating at a global level everything you do becomes global yeah.
What is your message to the youngsters out there, even if it's not youngsters, to abobaba bomuzi, you know, amachita aqala family manje? What message would you give to them?
You know, there's a lot of men out there who are not taking up the responsibility of being fathers. It's a privilege by time, and you are sitting there and you are denying your children the opportunity to have a father because of your issues with the baby mama or whatever. Now, you are raising a potential criminal because that boy is going to grow up not appreciating anything. That boy is going to grow up not knowing love. And love is not financial, by the way, because a lot of people want to attach things to money. I have a lot of conversations with men who think just paying maintenance is enough or just doing the financial piece is enough. Be there. See your kids grow. See your kids' behavior. When I do these videos with my kids, it's not just for us. Yes, it's for us in the sense that I'm enjoying the moment with them and I happen to share it with the world. But I'm actually driving a narrative to say, you can be a busy father and still make time for your kids.
Yes.
There's this thing of people claiming to be busy is nonsense because no one is ever too busy to call their loved ones during the day.
Oh, yes.
You speak to your husband probably 3 times in a day, no matter how busy you are.
Yeah.
Our president speaks to his wife at some point, no matter how busy. So wena ubusy kakhulu to make time. So make time for what's important and hang around with people that you look up to. And you will see a big difference in your life. And just do the most, be the human that you are and find your purpose.
And then entrepreneurs, what would you like
Entrepreneurs, you know, running your own business is the toughest thing. I mean, I've run businesses that have failed, but I always look at failure as an opportunity to move forward, as a lesson. You know, they call it first attempt in learning. The word fail is first attempt in learning. But I would rather fail forward with my lessons so that I don't repeat the same mistakes.
Yes.
When I was 21, I lost everything, had to go back home. The humiliation that I got from the guys in Kulenabo who were still staying in Kasi was what drove me. So instead of taking that negativity and swallowing and swimming in it, I rose above it and said, "Yabona nina, ngizonibonisa ukuthi," and then I was out of there. So it's about also blocking the noise. There's too much noise on social media and people are living a lie out there. People are portraying this opulent life and the reality is not the same. Just live your truth.
That's it.
Live your truth. Ube umuntu abantu, stay in your lane. Uzoba grand. If you look at my brand, I'm not controversial.
Yeah.
I don't do
At all.
controversial things. They try to dig and
Nothing.
because ngiphume kasi and I speak my truth and you can quote me on this even when I'm 50 I'll watch this and remember what I was taught ukuthi umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu phela lapho sishaye sithi danko.
One word to me in the Venters. Just one.
Why do you call the show Venters? Are we here to vent?
I called it the Venting Podcast because I don't want it to be more of an interview about corporate or an interview
Yeah.
because people see me as a spiritual person. Mhlampe bacanga ukuthi ngizokhuluma ngobungoma.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
it's a place whereby we vent about how did you become a TT Mbha?
Nice.
How did you get to the US? How did you make it?
Nice.
Why did you start this? So I think it's a show whereby I said the venting podcast because we want to vent out the things
Right.
that we've never seen in other interviews, but you've been interviewed before.
I love it, and that's why I'm asking you, because I want your audience to also understand the importance of the naming of a show. So, to vent is something that is very new to us black people. Ukubhodla.
Yeah, siyabhodla la.
Sizobhodla lana, and let's bodle in such a way that your podcast is actually deemed as edutainment. So it's educational, but also entertaining.
Entertainment.
And the reason I decided to come here is because I'm inspired by your podcast. I would never agree. I don't do a lot of podcasts.
Capture kakhulu le.
You can Google it.
Sure.
I don't do a lot of. There's a lot of. I've got a long list. Bang phone. Which is about certain things, but most of them want the controversy. They want to talk about certain things that I'm not interested in. If it's about building your viewership and the people who are watching and enriching their lives, and they must have something that they can take away. That's why I'm here.
Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you.
It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Say hi to Ingane zonke. Continue being yourself. I'm inspired. You are an inspiration to us and to everybody. And ngithanda le idea yakho abantu besilisa. I'm going to surprise my...
Please do. 19 November, Disofeng, 18 November, a platinum belt. The reason why we're doing KZN and GP is I want to touch men across different provinces. Of course, my dream is to go around the country, but that requires money, it requires sponsors, and I want to thank the brands that have jumped onto this. It's very hard to sell a concept yamadota to brands because they want to support women and the girl child. They forget about the boy child who can become a potential perpetrator if we don't take care of that issue. So it's really great to have, we're probably expecting about 300 plus men, Edisofeng, in suits. Can you imagine the walk of 300 black men dressed in suits and sneakers? suits and sneakers. I'm bringing in a suit specialist who's going to teach men about wearing a suit. Let me tell you this. Any man,
big,
it's very big. I've got the Minister of Social Development coming through. I've got the MEC of Social Development coming through. I've got Tess Singh who's going to be doing readings on these men. I've got financial experts. I've got mental wellness psychologists. But the nice thing is we want to teach men. Every man deserves to have a suit. What does a suit represent? It represents confidence, your dignity. And you can ask any guy here, when you're wearing a suit, your walk changes. Kuna something, man. But we obviously tone it down with sneakers so that it's more fashionable to the younger guys. And we bring a guy who's gonna teach you about a suit. There's this thing with two button, you must button both or don't button. What's the right way of wearing a suit? Because some guys will button way two, or when you button on A1. So the argument can be, but if you button A1, then why did the designer make two buttons?
Okay.
So those are conversations we're gonna have.
Interesting.
With men. I'm a pleat. I'm a triplet la, 10 up. Is that still relevant in today's age? And we're bringing men from different age groups, from as young as 18 to as old as 80. I'm bringing my dad. I'm bringing his friends to come share their wisdom.
My dad
yes.
Oh, that's my buddy.
Your dad must come with your husband, not when. We don't want women there. Women can come after 4. After 4 o'clock, it's open to the ladies. Nize masuit and sneakers nani ne.
Move.
Yabana ke mina. Don't you want to come podcast there?
I can.
Come podcast there. Then you can interview some of the men.
Now it's a deal.
Come podcast there, actually. I'll give that to you.
Deal. Justice has been read.
Marutkoki suits and sneakers, ne?
I will.
Even your camera guys are glad on the day. Suits and sneakers.
Nizwile
Yeah. I go to your camera guy behind the scenes. I funtina.
I'm getting down.
Suits and sneakers. It's strictly suits and sneakers.
See on Buffett. 19
November. And a suit, it doesn't have to be, you can wear traditional. It's still regarded as a suit.
Yes.
Because even shorts, you can wear shorts. As long as you're wearing suits and sneakers.
And I can't have a suit.
I might be wearing shorts.
Nice.
I might be wearing a bank designer. Franco.
I know, Anyway, guys. After 4, it's open for everyone.
To the ladies, yeah.
Oh, after 4.
After 4. So between 12 and 4 is just gents.
Yeah.
And then from 4 o'clock, we open it up to the ladies, and it's free for the ladies.
Oh, I see you're free.
I need a pay.
Obvious.
we need
There's
you
no
guys.
party without us.
We need you
we're
guys.
coming. Thank you very much for coming to the Venting
Asibonge.
podcast. I appreciate you. I appreciate the knowledge. I, for myself, learned a lot, especially when it comes to the investment part, especially when it comes to property, because, I think singabantu abamnyama besi lost kancane, and also besicanga ukuthi property, mina ngizozikhulumela mina ngicanga ukuthi property mele uthole bo my 10 ukuyale, because I waited for so long before I can invest. I invested, but I waited for so long. Ngithi hayi mele ngikhole imali engaka, you know, in cause, but then thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And one last thing, so on the days, every man that attends that event is gonna get this ring. Ipalwe #no excuse. It's an elastic ring that every man will have to wear. It's our pledge against gender-based violence as men. We're taking a stand against gender-based violence. It's written #no excuse against. There's no excuse for any man to beat up a woman. There's no excuse for any man to molest a child. So this is a pledge. If you're a man and you're in there and you don't wear that ring, we'll actually ask you to leave, because it's bigger than all of us.
Oh no, this is big, hey?
It's bigger than all of us.
Okay, I support this. So not just my family, isn't.
Yeah, and it's also so nigga shame. Yes.
So that's one.
Yeah, there's also a
so should
wristband.
They have both, or
No. We'll
one
give.
of-
You'll choose. You'll choose on the day if you wanna wear a wrist. Cause some men will say maybe
don't
none,
know
but
the
it's
day.
elastic, so it fits any finger, and you don't have to wear it on your.
Does it stretch?
Yeah, it's elastic.
Oh,
you can
okay,
put it on
cool.
any finger.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to the Venting podcast, guys. I've learned a lot from the one and only TT Mbha, umuntu odila ngamadola. Huh? But anyway, Nizwile, from everything that he has achieved, he worked for it and he believed in himself and he had goals, and I believe whether from ekasi, whether from emapulazini, whatever you put your mind into, kuzoyenzeka. Thank you. Cheers.
Asibonge, sithi.
Danko.
Danko.